Yes, good morning, friends. Good morning, friends. In this session, we'll discuss about some problems about unlock communication systems, and I will revise some of the topics. We'll continue with our previous session. Okay. So, so in the previous class, we discussed about analog communication. What are the different types of what is a modulation, and what is need for modulation, and different types of amplitude modulations, and all those things. So now in this session, we'll discuss about our angle modulation. So you all know. So we can change the characteristics of our carrier signal. That is, when we change frequency and when we change our phase, we'll call it as an angle modulation. So in this session, we'll see our angle modulation. Based on our angle modulation, we will see some of the problems that comes under your will that we do in our gate. Okay, so so when we change characteristics, when we change the characters frequency, when we change the frequency of your carrier signal in accordance with your message signal, that will be your frequency modulation technique. So we will just see one of the example. So consider an AM FM wave. Consider an FM wave. F of t equal to cos of 2 pi f ct plus beta 1 sine of 2 pi f1 t plus beta 2 2 pi f2 t. So the maximum deviation of the instantaneous frequency from the carrier frequency fc is. So what is the maximum frequency deviation? So you all know what is frequency deviation. Frequency deviation is del f, that is which defines the amount of change of frequency. The amount of change of frequency fc plus del f. So for you all know, for a positive, when we are having the positive amplitude, then the frequency that we change is fc plus del f. When amplitude is zero, we'll transmit with a frequency of fc. When the amplitude is negative, we'll transmit with a frequency of fc minus del f. There del f defines your frequency deviation, fc plus del f. When we have positive amplitude, we transmit with a frequency of fc plus del f. At zero amplitude, we'll transmit with a frequency of fc, and when we are having negative amplitude, we'll transmit with a frequency of fc minus del f. And in this question, they are asking us to find out what is the maximum deviation of the instantaneous frequency from the carrier frequency fc. So in order to find this, first we'll find what is the angular frequency, instantaneous value of the angular frequency. That is omega I equal to omega c plus del by del t. So this is an instantaneous frequency, angular frequency. Omega I stands for instantaneous. The instantaneous angular frequency omega I equal to omega c plus del d by dt of beta 1 sine of 2 pi f1 t plus beta 2 sine of 2 pi f2 of t. So you all know we'll different d by dt. So omega c plus, when we differentiate, we'll get it as 2 pi beta 1 f1 sine. The differentiation of sine is cos. So cos of 2 pi f1 t plus 2 pi beta 2 f2 cos of 2 pi f2 t. So when we find the in terms of frequency, so you all know omega equal to 2 pi f. So your Fi instantaneous frequency equal to Fc plus beta 1 F1 cos of 2 pi F1 t plus beta 2 F2 into cos of 2 pi F2 into t. So if you observe here, what is the frequency? What is the deviation you are getting? So the maximum frequency deviation is Fc plus del f. What is this del f? Is beta 1 F1 plus beta 2 F2. So our answer is the maximum frequency deviation equal to beta F1 plus beta 2 F2. So what's our correct option? So your A is your correct option. Beta 1 F1 plus beta 2 F2. So this is the maximum deviation of the instantaneous frequency. Okay, are you all able to follow this? So they are asking us what is the maximum frequency deviation. Maximum frequency deviation is del f max. Del f max. So we need to find out your del f max. So Fi equal to instantaneous frequency. Fi equal to Fc plus del f. The del f is your frequency deviation. They're asking us to find out what is the maximum frequency deviation. You all know your cos will become maximum. Maximum value of cos is plus 1. So what is the maximum value here? Beta 1 f1 plus beta 2 f2. So in this way we can find our frequency deviation. Okay. Now we'll go with another example. Say a modulation signal. A modulation signal is y of t equal to m of t cos of 40k pi t, where the baseband signal m of t has frequency component less than 5 kilohertz only. Less than 5 kilohertz only. The minimum required rate at which y of t should be sampled to recover m of t is. So they're asking what is the minimum sampling rate. So you all know what is the minimum sampling rate. Your minimum sampling rate should be twice your maximum frequency. So in the question they have given a modulation signal is y of t equal to m of t cos of 40k pi t, where the baseband signal m of t, your baseband signal is nothing but our message signal frequency m of t, has a frequency component less than 5 kilohertz only. That means what is the maximum frequency here? Your maximum frequency is nothing but 5 kilohertz. So, what is the minimum sampling rate? You all know your minimum sampling rate is twice your maximum frequency. That is 2 into 5 kilohertz. What is your 2 into 5 kilohertz? 2 into 5 kilohertz is nothing but 10k. 10k samples per second. That means the minimum sampling rate, that which we required is 10k samples per second. 10k samples per second. So you should remember this. The minimum sampling rate is twice the maximum frequency. So what will happen when we don't have these minimum? If we don't, if we not sampled with a Nyquist rate, what will happen? So we will get an overlap and we'll get an distortion outputs. So for that, so our minimum sampling rate. So our minimum sampling rate to reconstruct our original message, to recover our original message m of t, our sample rate should be twice the maximum frequency of our message signal. So in this question, they have given what is the maximum frequency component of your message signal? Nothing but 5 kilohertz. So the minimum sampling rate is twice the maximum frequency, that is 2 into 5k, nothing but 10k samples per second. That means if we sample at a rate of 10k samples per second, we can reconstruct our original message signal. So next we'll go with another example. So this is a 10 megahertz carrier is frequency modulated. A 10 megahertz a 10 megahertz carrier is frequency modulated by a sinusoidal signal of 500 hertz. The maximum frequency deviation being 50 kilohertz. The bandwidth required. What is the bandwidth required by an FM? What is the bandwidth of what is the bandwidth required for FM transmission? So in this question, they have given. You all know from the Carson's rule, the bandwidth required for FM. The bandwidth required for FM is 2 into del f plus FM. 2 into del f plus FM, where del f is your frequency deviation and FM is maximum message signal frequency. message signal frequency, maximum message signal frequency. So from the question they have given, what is your del f? The frequency deviation is 50 kilohertz. And what is your maximum frequency? You just observe here 10 megahertz carrier is frequency modulated by sinusoidal signal of 500 hertz. So that means what is your message signal frequency? Message signal frequency is 500 hertz. So 500 hertz. So and your frequency deviation is 50k. So 2 into del f plus fm. So del f is 50k and fm is 500 hertz. So when we add, we'll get the required bandwidth. The required bandwidth for FM transmission is 101 kilohertz. The bandwidth required for transmission of these signal is 101 kilohertz. So we should remember this from the Carson's rule. The bandwidth required for FM transmission. The bandwidth required for FM transmission is 2 into del F plus FM. 2 into del F plus FM. So from the question they will give, they have given the maximum frequency. The message signal frequency is 500 hertz and the frequency deviation is 50 kilohertz. So from these we can get our bandwidth. The required bandwidth is 101 kilohertz. So next we'll go with another example. That is in this question they have given one expression. What is that expression? V of t, where V of t equal to your V of t equal to 5 into cos of 10 power 6 pi t minus sine of 10 cube pi t into sine of 10 power 6 pi t represents. So we need to find out. So what does this expression represents? Whether these expression the modulated signal is a DSB suppressed carrier signal or an AM signal, or this is SSB upper sideband signal, or whether this signal is narrowband FM signal. So in order to find this, first we can write this V of t equal to 5 into cos of 10 power 6 pi t, isn't it? So 5 into, so when we multiply, we'll get it as 5 into cos of 10 power 6 pi t minus. So this is in the form of sin A, sin B. This is in the form of sin A, sin B. What is your sin A, sin B? So 1 by 2 into cos of A minus B, B minus A, plus 1 by 2 into cos of A plus B. So if you write this, we'll get it as 5 cos of 10 power 6 pi t minus 5 by 2 cos of 10 power 6 minus 10 cube pi t plus 5 by 2 cos of 10 power 6 plus 10 cube pi t. So now if you observe here, this signal consists of 10 power 6 pi t. So when we see here, this is 5 cos of 10 power 6 pi t. So what is other frequency? 10 power 6 minus 10 cube and 10 power 6 plus 10 cube. So that is, this is Fc minus Fm and this is Fc plus Fm. But if you observe here, 5 this is 5 cos of omega ct, omega ct or Fc minus 5 by 2 cos of omega c minus omega m plus omega c plus omega. The frequency components, these are the frequency components. But if you observe here, carrier and upper sidebands are in phase, that is in phase, and whereas your lower sideband is out of phase with carrier. You can observe the minus here. So when we are having minus, so this signal will become an narrowband FM signal, isn't it? So you just remember your narrowband FM is similar to your AM signal expression, but the only difference here is The lower sideband will be out of phase with carrier. That means we'll get a minus here. So if you observe your, this is same as your AM signal. When we'll have plus here, instead of minus 5 by 2, if we have plus 5 by 2. So just observe here, carrier signal, upper sideband, lower sideband. So but here if you, when we observe here, your lower sideband is in out of phase of your carrier. So your narrowband FM is similar to amplitude modulation, but the only difference is your lower sideband is out of phase with carrier. Your lower sideband is out of phase with carrier. So the given signal is, so from this we can say the given signal is nothing but narrowband FM signal. So the narrowband FM signal. So both your AM and FM, both your AM and FM, both your AM and narrowband FM are similar, but the only difference is we'll have your carrier signal, we'll have your upper sideband, and we'll have your lower sideband. But here the difference is your lower sideband, which will be out of phase with your carrier. Hence, we can say from this, the above given expression is nothing but the signal is modulated by using narrowband FM signal. Narrowband FM. Are you able to follow this? Okay. Now we will go with another example. Another example. So that is, consider the frequency modulated signal. Consider the frequency modulated signal 10 into cos of 2 pi into 10 power 5t plus 5 into sine of 2 pi into 1500t plus 7.5 into sine of 2 pi into 1000t with carrier frequency of, so what is the carrier frequency? With a carrier frequency of 10 power 5 hertz. So then the modulation index is, so then we need to find out what is the modulation index. What is the modulation index? So you all know what is the modulation index. So in order to find the modulation index, so first we'll find the instantaneous frequency. So instantaneous angular frequency. So the instantaneous angular frequency omega I equal to omega c plus d by dt, d by dt, d by dt of, d by dt of. So what is the phase here? What is the phase? 5 sine of 2 pi into 1500 t plus 7.5 into sine of 2 pi into 1000 t. So this is your instantaneous frequency, isn't it? So just observe here, AC into cos of 2 pi, cos of 2 pi fct plus 5. So this is what your phi is. So first omega I, the instantaneous value of the angular frequency, we can write it as omega I equal to omega c plus d by dt of 5 into sine of 2 pi into 1500 t plus 7.5 into sine of 2 pi into 1000 t. So from here, if you find your frequency deviation, so when we differentiate these, so we'll get it as 5 into 2 pi into 1500. So sine, the differentiation of sine is your cos. So cos of 2 pi into 1500 t plus 7.5 into 2 pi into 1000 into the sine, the differentiation of your sine is cos of 2 pi into 1000 t. So now this will become your So what is the maximum frequency deviation? Frequency deviation. The frequency deviation omega c plus del f. So the del omega which will be equal to 5 into 2 pi into 1500 cos of 2 pi into 1500 plus 7.5 into 2 pi into 1000 cos of 2 pi into 1000 t. So this will become your del omega. So from here we can find maximum of del omega. Maximum, what is your maximum of frequency deviation del omega? So del omega maximum will be equal to 5 into 2 pi into 1500 plus 7.5 into, so when we can take common. So we can take 2 pi common, 2 pi common from here. So 5 into 1500, nothing but 7500, and here 7.5 into 1000. You all know the cos will be maximum. The maximum value of cos is 1. So the maximum value del omega max will be equal to 5 into 2 pi into 1500 plus 7.5 into 2 pi into 1000. So these will be equal to, so del omega of max will be equal to 2 pi into 7500 plus 7500. So from here, if you, so nothing but, so from here, if you find the frequency deviation, in terms of frequency deviation, this is angular. Frequency deviation will be equal to del omega max divided by 2 pi. So this will be equal to 15000 hertz. So from here, the maximum deviation will be equal to 1500 divided by 1500 divided by 1500. So if you find here the maximum deviation, so the modulation index MF will be equal to 1500 divided by 1500, which is nothing but 10. So in this way we'll find our modulation index. So when we come to the gate point of view, they will ask us what is maximum frequency deviation. So what is the modulation index? So what is your maximum phase deviation? So when we come to the point of this gate, so they will give an expression. So from that expression, they will ask us to find out. So what is the maximum modulation, maximum frequency deviation, or they may ask us to find out what is frequency deviation, and or they may ask us to find out what is the modulation index. So what is the modulation index? So if they ask us to find out what is a modulation index MF. So your MF can be derived in this way. So first we'll find our del F. So we need to find del F by FM. So in order to find this del F, so first we'll find instantaneous value of the angular frequency omega I. Your omega I will be equal to omega c plus d by dt of 5. So here 5 is 5 into sine of 2 pi into 1500 t plus 7.5 into sine of 2 pi into 1000 t. So from here, if you find out del omega, so del omega will be equal to, so if when we differentiate these, we'll get it as 5 into 2 pi into 1500 into sine differentiation is cos of 2 pi into 1500 t plus 7.5 plus 7.5 into 2 pi into 1000 cos of 2 pi into 1000 t. So from here, when we find the maximum value, what is the maximum value of cos? Nothing but 1. So from here, when we find the maximum value, delta omega max equal to 2 pi into 7500 plus 7500. So from here, if you write in terms of frequency deviation, delta will be equal to del omega max by 2 pi. So we'll get it as 1500 hertz. So from here we can find our modulation index. Modulation index MF will be equal to 1500 divided by 1500, which is nothing but 10. That is the maximum frequency modulation index is 10. So are you able to follow this? Is there any doubts from here? So simple. They will give an expression. From that expression, we need to find our modulation index. So next question. We'll see go with a simple example. A message signal with bandwidth. A message signal with bandwidth of 10 kilohertz is lower sideband SSB modulated with frequency carrier FC1 equal to 10 power 6 hertz. Okay, that means the lower sideband frequency. So, what is your lower sideband frequency? The lower sideband frequency, a message signal with bandwidth of 10 kilohertz. What is the bandwidth of your message signal? Message signal bandwidth is 10 kilohertz. Is lower sidebanded. Lower sideband SSB modulated with a carrier frequency of FC1 equal to 10 power 6. Then what is the lower sideband frequency? Nothing but FC1 minus your FM. So what is FM? FM is 10 kilohertz. So from here we can write it as your lower sideband frequency is 990 kilohertz. So you all know what is the band. The resultant signal is then passed through a narrow band frequency with a carrier frequency of FC2 equal to 10 power 9 hertz. Then the bandwidth of the output will be. So what is the bandwidth of your narrowband FM? So what is the bandwidth of your narrowband FM? You all know what is the bandwidth. So what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth the bandwidth required for narrowband FM is nothing but 2 into FM. 2 into FM. So what is here? FM is here the FM is 990 kilohertz. So the bandwidth required will be equal to 2 into 990 kilohertz, which will be approximately 2 megahertz. Which will be approximately 2 megahertz. So the correct option is B, 2 into 10 power 6 hertz. Okay, now we'll go with another example. Are you all able to follow this? Now we'll go with another example. A device with input x of t and output y of t is characterized by y of t equal to x square of t. Y of t equal to x square of t. So an FM signal with frequency deviation of 90 kilohertz. So they have given what is the frequency deviation of your FM signal. The frequency deviation of your FM signal nothing but 90 kilohertz. That is your del F is 90 kilohertz and modulating signal bandwidth of 5 kilohertz. The message signal frequency is 5 kilohertz. The message signal frequency is 5 kilohertz. When FM signal is the bandwidth of the output signal is And now they are asking what is the bandwidth of your output signal? What is the bandwidth of your output signal? So in this question, they have given a device which is having an input x of t and output is characterized y of t will be equal to x square of t. So that is your FM signal is now applied to a double frequency deviation. Doubler frequency deviation is applied to doubler. So x square of t. We are applying it to a doubler. So then your frequency deviation will become double. Now your frequency deviation will become double. So that means what is your del f? Del f will now become 90 into 2, double. That is 180. So you all know from the Carson's rule, what is the bandwidth required for your FM? Nothing but bandwidth equal to 2 into del f plus FM. 2 into del f plus FM. That means nothing but 2 into 180 plus 5. 2 into 180 plus 5, which is nothing but 370 kilohertz. When we find, we'll get it as 370 kilohertz. So the bandwidth of the output signal. So when we apply to this device with the characteristics of y of t equal to x square of t, so when we apply our signal to these device with the characteristics y of t equal to x square of t with a message signal of bandwidth 5 kilohertz and with a frequency deviation of 90 kilohertz, so then the bandwidth required will be equal to 2 into del f plus fm. So when we apply to these type of devices, so the FM signal, we are applying our FM signal to a doubler. So that means then your frequency deviation also will become doubles. Your frequency deviation also doubles. So our bandwidth will be equal to 2 into del f plus fm, 2 into 180 plus 5, which is equal to 370 kilohertz. So next we'll go with another example. An angle modulation signal is given by s of t equal to cos of 2 pi into 2 into 10 power 60 plus 2 pi into 30 into sine of 150t plus 2 pi into 40 cos of 150t. The maximum frequency and phase deviation of s of t are. So now here we need to find out what is the maximum frequency deviation and what is the maximum phase deviation. Okay, so what is the maximum frequency deviation? Nothing but delta f. What is your maximum phase deviation? Nothing but del phi. So in order to find this, first we all know. So what is your phi is 2 pi into 2 into 10 power 6 plus 2 pi into 30 sine of 150t plus 2 pi into 40 into cos of 150t. So we have done in the previous examples only. I just explained these type of questions, how to find your maximum frequency deviation and how to find your maximum phase deviation. So if you follow in that same way, so first we'll find our angular frequency omega I, instantaneous value of angular frequency omega I. Your omega I will be equal to omega c plus del d by dt omega c plus d by dt of 2 pi. What is the phase here? 2 pi into 30 sine of 150t plus 2 pi into 40 cos of 150t, isn't it? So now when we find the differentiation, so if you find the d by dt of this, we'll get it as omega c plus 2 pi into 30 into 150 into what is the differentiation of sine cos of 150t minus, so what is the differentiation of cos minus sine, so we'll get it as minus 2 pi into 40 into 150 into sine of 150t, so which will be equal to omega c plus 2 pi into 4500 cos of 150t t minus 2 pi into 6000 sine of 150t. So your frequency deviation del omega will be equal to 2 pi into 1500 into, we can write these the above expression. When we take 1500 as common, we can write it as 3 cos of 150t minus 4 sine of 150t. So from these, if you find nothing but 3000 pi into 3 cos of 150t minus 4 of 4 sine of 150t, which will be, so if you find out and if you reduce this expression, we'll get it as 1500 pi. We'll get it as 1500 pi radians per second. We can write it as 2 pi into 7.5 k. So why? Because we need to find del f. So we all know what is your del f. Del f will be equal to del omega by 2 pi. So that's why we are writing the above expression 150 pi. We can write it as 2 pi into 7.5 k. So if you find this, so your del f will be equal to del omega by 2 pi. This 2 pi will get cancelled, and which will be equal to 7.5 kilohertz. That is the maximum frequency deviation. The maximum frequency deviation, which will be equal to 7.5 kilohertz. We'll get the maximum frequency deviation as 7.5 kilohertz. Are you able to follow this? Next. Similarly, we can find our maximum frequency deviation. So maximum frequency deviation, which will be equal to del phi will be equal to 2 pi into square root of 302 plus 402. So which will be equal to 100 pi. We'll get it as 100 pi radians. That is the frequency deviation. The maximum frequency deviation is 7.5 k, and the maximum frequency phase deviation is 100 pi. The maximum phase deviation is 100 pi. So in this way they will ask us. So to find out, they will give an expression. So from that expression, they will ask us to find out what is the maximum frequency deviation and what is the maximum phase deviation. Is it clear? Okay. Now we'll go with another example. So in this example, this is a very simple problem. A signal x of t, a signal x of t equal to 2 cos of pi into 10 power 4t volts is applied to an FM modulator with a sensitivity constant of 10 kilohertz per volt, with a sensitivity constant of 10 kilohertz per volt. That means your KF is 10K, 10K hertz per volt. Frequency sensitivity KF, which is a constant, and this value is nothing but 10K hertz per volt. And then the modulation index of the FM wave is the modulation index. So this is a direct question. We know what is the modulation index of FM. Your beta will be equal to KF into AM by FM. KF into AM by FM. So from the question, they have given what is the frequency sensitivity. So what is the frequency sensitivity? Frequency sensitivity is nothing but 10K. That is 10 into 10 cube. So from the question, what is your AM amplitude? So what is the maximum amplitude? So nothing but 2. That is x of t equal to 2 into cos of pi into 10 power 4. So from these, what is your amplitude? So amplitude is nothing but 2. So 10 into 10 cube into 2 divided by, what is the frequency FM? Your FM is nothing but pi into 10 power 4. Pi into omega ct. So we need to find FM. So pi into 10 power 4 by 2 pi, isn't it? So from here, we can write it as pi into 10 power 4 by 2 pi. So and once if you find the value of these, so these will be nothing but equal to 4. So these will equal to 4. So the modulation index beta will be equal to kf into am by fm. So this is an expression which we use once if we derive the modulation index. Beta will be equal to kf into am by fm. So which is equal to 10 into 10 cube into 2 divided by, now what is the maximum frequency FM? So this FM is nothing but pi into 10 power 4 by 2 pi. So which will be equal to 4. Okay. So these are the some of the examples they may ask you from our angle modulation. So we need to, they may ask us to find out in this, to find out the bandwidth. What is the bandwidth required? What is the bandwidth required for FM transmission? So this is the one type of question they will ask you. So what is the bandwidth required? They may ask what is the bandwidth required for FM transmission, or the other question they may ask us is to find the modulation index. They will given data, from that we need to find out modulation index. What is a modulation index? So we all know beta. When beta is less than 1, nothing but narrowband FM. When beta is greater than FM, nothing but wideband FM. This is your wideband FM. The beta will be equal to kf into am by fm. So where kf is sensitivity, frequency sensitivity, so which is a constant, frequency sensitivity constant 10 kilohertz. So the units are kilohertz per volt, kilohertz per volt. And they may ask us to find out what is the maximum frequency deviation, what is the maximum frequency deviation, and what is the minimum frequency deviation, and what is the maximum phase deviation, what is the maximum phase deviation. And they may ask you in terms of what is the bandwidth required for narrowband FM. So and what is your wideband FM. So, and the thing here is your AM, your narrowband FM is similar to your AM, but the only difference is in case of your narrowband FM, your low your LSB, your LSB will be out of phase with your carrier, out of phase with your carrier. And coming to different modulation techniques, different modulation techniques and demodulation techniques that we use in our FM. So the different modulation techniques which we use is direct method, direct method, and then indirect method. So we can also call this indirect method as an Armstrong method. We'll call it as an Armstrong method. So and the next thing is we can generate from FM, we can generate PM, and from PM we can generate our FM. So these are the some of the problems. These are the some of the problems they will ask in our angle modulation. These are the some of the problems they may ask from our amplitude modulation, and then in case of your angle modulation, amplitude modulation, and then angle modulation. So in case of they may ask what are the different types of modulation techniques we use. Identify that modulation techniques that we use for your AM, FM, and then what are the different demodulation techniques we use. Different demodulation techniques we use for your FM, or they may ask you which one is the best demodulation technique. So when come to the demodulation techniques of your FM, we are having different techniques. That is Foster Seray technique, and then slope ratio detect. So these are the some of the demodulation techniques which we use in case for your FM. So when we come to the demodulation of these FM, we here will do the reverse process. So what is that? In the modulation we have done, when the amplitude is positive, we are we are transmitting with the frequency of fc plus del f. Now when the amplitude is negative, we are transmitting with the frequency of fc minus del f. When the amplitude is 0, we'll transmit with the frequency of fc, that is with the frequency of carrier frequency. Now in the demodulation, we should reverse the process. So for this, we are going to make use of your VCO. VCO we are going to make use of. So that is voltage controlled oscillator. Voltage controlled oscillator. So these voltage, by making use of these VCO, we are going to degenerate or demodulate your original message signal. Original message signal, VCO. We are going to make use of this VCO. So here we need to, when the frequency is Fc plus del F, so we need to do the reverse process. When the frequency is Fc plus F, del F, nothing but positive frequency, positive amplitude. When we get Fc frequency, nothing but our amplitude is 0. When the received frequency is Fc minus del F, nothing but negative. The amplitude of the signal is negative. So for this, we'll use different methods. So for demodulating your FM signal. So they may ask you which one is the best, what are the different bandwidths required. They may ask you in terms of bandwidths required, and which one is high noise immune, which modulation technique is high prone to noise. And then what they may ask us about signal to noise ratio. So which one is power efficient? So which modulation technique is highly power efficient? And they may touch either in different applications. They may ask in this way. In different applications, in FM is used in uh, FM is used in where VSB your uh, so the applications where we are going to make use of these modulation techniques, they may even ask you in that way also. Okay, so you all just try all these problems. You all just try all these problems, and when we practice more, uh, we can solve any type of problems that may ask in our gate examinations. Okay, so next we'll have another example. So that is a super heterodyne receivers. So this is nothing but your receiver point of view. So a super heterodyne receiver. So you all know what is a super heterodyne receivers. So you are going to make use of these super heterodyne receivers, which is an AM receiver. Which is an AM receiver. I think you all can remember the block diagram of these super heterodyne receivers. So at first, from the antenna, we are going to receive our signals. So the received signal will first transmitted through your RF amplifiers. The output of these RF amplifier is given to your mixer. So the other input to this mixer is your local oscillator. The output of this mixer is given to your IF amplifiers. So from there IF amplifier, the output is given to your demodulators. So your demodulator circuit. So after once your signal is demodulated, so then the output is given to your audio amplifiers. So to amplify your sorry audio not voltage amplifiers, and then power amplifier to get the to reconstruct your original message signal. So we are going to make use of these super heterodyne receivers to reconstruct our AM signals, isn't it? So first stage is RF amplifiers. So these RF amplifiers, the output of these RF is radio frequency amplifier. The output of these is given to your mixer. So from the mixer, we'll give another signal, that is from the local oscillator. We'll generate another carrier signal. So by making use of these, we are going to convert the received signal into an intermediate frequency. Intermediate frequency. So now we'll go with another example. A super heterodyne receiver uses an IF frequency of uses an IF frequency of 455 kilohertz. What is the intermediate frequency? IF frequency of 455 kilohertz. The receiver is tuned to a transmitter having a carrier frequency of 2400 kilohertz. High side tuning is to be used. So then what is the image frequency? So now you all know this well defined the the image frequency equal to FL plus 2 into F into IF. 2 into F into IF. So from the question they have given what is the carrier frequency, nothing but 2400 kilohertz, and they have given the intermediate frequency 4500. So the from we know this equation F image. So in order to find our image frequency, which will be equal to FL plus 2 into intermediate frequency. So nothing but 2400 K plus 2 into 455K. So nothing but when we add, we'll get it as 3310 kilohertz. So the answer is, your correct option is B, 3310 kilohertz. So this is one of the important topic. So from these super heterodyne receivers, they will ask to find out the image frequency. What is the image frequency? Or they will ask us to find. They will give an image frequency. They will ask us to find what is the intermediate frequency, or they will give the intermediate frequency and then image frequency. They may ask us to find out the local oscillator. So this is a very important uh, equation. F image, the image frequency will be equal to FL plus 2 into F into IF, intermediate frequency. So once if you substitute, we'll get an image frequency. The image frequency will be equal to 3310 kilohertz. 3310 kilohertz. Okay, now we'll go with another example. So that is related to your noise. This question, which is related to your noise. So you all know what is a noise. So after modulation, we are going to transmit through our channel. So basically, this noise will arise in our channel. So this noise, which is an unwanted signal, noise which is an unwanted signal. So because of this noise, so we will get an distorted signal at our receiver. So these noise may arise due to internal, or these can arise due to external. It can be occurs due to externally. Can happen external or can happen internally. So we are having different types of noises. So you all know what are the different types of noises we are having: thermal noise, Johnson noise, flicker noise, and then the external noises. These are due to the thunders, or so there are some of the external the noise. So anyhow, we can't completely eliminate these noise, but we can try to reduce these noise for successful reconstruction of our original message signal. So in this noise, we'll see one example. In a receiver, the input signal is 100 volts. In a receiver, the input signal, that is at the receiver, the input signal is 100 volts, while the internal noise at the input is 10 volts. Your internal noise is 10 volts. With an amplification, the output signal is 2 volts, while the output noise is zero point 0.4 volts. Okay, at the output, that is the signal is 2 volts, while the output noise is zero point 0.4 volts. Then, what is the noise figure? The noise figure of receiver is the noise figure of receiver. So generally, the noise figure of receiver is given by expression noise figure of receiver equal to SI by NI, that is signal power at input by noise power at input whole divided by Signal power at output by noise power at output. So this is an expression we use in order to find your noise figure. So the noise figure equal to Si by Ni by S naught by N naught. So which is equal to, here the input signal power is 100 volt, the input noise power is 10 volt. So 100 by 10 whole divided by, what is the output signal power? Nothing but 2 volts. The output noise power is zero point 0.4 volts. So once if you derive, um, so once you calculate this, we'll get our noise figure as 2. So your noise figure is 2. So the other question, the type of other questions they will ask is to find out the figure of merit. Figure of merit. They may ask us to find figure of merit. So figure of merit of your AM system, figure of merit of your FM, figure of merit of your um, SSB, figure of merit for your narrowband FM. What is the figure of merit for your wideband FM? Okay, they will ask all these things. We have a derivation for all these things, and anyhow, for our gate point of view, we need to remember the expressions. What is the figure of merit? What is the figure of merit? What is signal to noise ratio? So we'll define in terms of signal to noise ratio. Okay, anyhow, these are the some of the topics which we use. There's some of the problems we can derive. So next coming to this, I'll just give a glance regarding the generation and then demodulation techniques. So your DSBSA signal is generated by using balanced modulators and ring modulator. So these are the two techniques which we use for generating your DSBSA signal. So in the balanced modulator nothing but, here we are going to make use of 2 AM. Okay, M of t is now multiplied with C of t, whereas here M of t minus M of t, C of t. So we'll get S1 of t, S2 of t, then we'll get an S of t. So in this ring modulator, so the next modulation technique is ring modulator. In this ring modulator, we'll have 4 diodes. We are going to make use of 4 diodes. At a time, 2 diodes will be in on state and 2 will be in off state. So this is one of the method which we use for demodulation. And next, coming to demodulation techniques, coherent detection. Coherent detection is one of the technique which we use for demodulating uh, your original message signal. So what we'll do in this coherent detection technique is, just we'll have a product modulator. So to this product modulator, we'll give the one signal which we give is S of t. There is a modulate, the received signal is multiplied with your the same carrier signal C of t, AC cos of 2 pi fct plus 5. But here we have to see that there should not be any phase error. There will not be any phase error. Once if we have a phase error, then we'll get a distorted signal. So we should always see carefully that this phi should be 0. This phi should be 0. So if this phi is not 0, then we may not get an exact signal. So the output of these is given to a low pass filter. So with a cutoff frequency of plus FM, plus or minus FM. So in this way we are going to demodulate your signal. So we should always see that our phase should, there will not be any phase error for exact reconstruction of your original message signal. So for this we are going to have this Costas loop. So by making use of this Costas loop, we will try to make our phi will be equal to 0. So SSB. So for generating your SSB signal, we are going to make use of frequency discrimination method and then phase discrimination method. So coherent detection for SSB. Next, VSBSC. VSBSC is a vestigious sideband. So we'll have one complete sideband, and then part of your the other sideband is not, that modulation technique is nothing but VSBSC. So the transmission bandwidth required B will be equal to Fm plus Fv. So where Fv is width of your vestigious sideband. So this VSB is highly efficient reduction bandwidth. Filter design is easy as high accuracy is not needed. So we are basically make use of this VSB in our telecommunication. So television. This is what your frequency domain representation. Just observe one complete sideband plus some vestigious part of your other sideband. So generation for generating this VSBSC signal, we'll design a special shaping filter. So in order to have one complete sideband and some vestigious part of your the other sidebands. So when we compare, we'll have this comparison table. So in DSBSC, your carrier, full carrier, nothing but AM. Whereas in DSBSC, we are suppressing this carrier. In SSB also, we are suppressing this carrier. Sideband suppression. So in SSB, we can transmit either one of the sidebands in SSB modulation technique. In case of VSB, we'll transmit one complete sideband and will suppress some partial part of your the other sideband. So when come to the bandwidth, so the bandwidth required for AM is 2 FM, for DSB is 2 FM, for SSB is only we are transmitting only one sideband. So the bandwidth required is FM. For VSB, the bandwidth ranges from FM to 2 FM, isn't it? One complete sideband and some vestigious part of your the other sideband. So the bandwidth ranges from FM to 2 FM. Transmission efficiency, the efficiency of your AM is very less. Why? Because the efficiency is only 33%. So for DSB, this is moderate. We can have the highly efficient modulation technique is SSB, and VSB is moderate. So application we'll use for radio broadcasting, your AM and then DSBSC, and SSB is used for point-to-point mobile communication, and we are going to make use of this VSB in our television. So just now I said angle modulation FM and then PM. Angle modulation frequency M of T, A into cos of omega CT plus KPM of T. So once you derive this, so this will be your message signal, carrier signal, and then FM. So the modulation index MF will be equal to KF into VM by KF into AM or VM. We can write it as AM divided by 2 pi. Sorry, FM. So FM, these are what is the relation between your FM and PM? Narrowband FM when beta is greater than 1, sorry, less than 1, nothing but narrowband FM. When this is greater than 1, wideband FM. So the bandwidth required according to the Carson's rule is 2 into del F plus FM. So FM generation techniques. Direct method using your Barrett diode. So detection, faster cell ratio detectors. Then coming to the noise. We are having different types of noises. Thermal noise, short noise, flicker noise, thermal. So and we need to analyze the noise factor or noise figure in terms of dB. Noise factor is signal to noise ratio to input by signal to noise ratio to output. We'll express these in terms of dB. When we express these in terms of dB, nothing but noise figure 10 log 10 of f. So for our analysis purpose, we think that our noise is additive white Gaussian noise. So by considering the noise added is additive white Gaussian noise, we'll derive the expressions to find out what are the figure of merit for your different modulation techniques. And receivers, super heterodyne receiver, tune radio receiver, frequency. Just now I said all these things. First RF amplifier, second RF amplifier, then we'll have a detector circuit, audio amplifier, and then power amplifiers. It's a super heterodyne receiver. Very important topic when we discuss about when we come to gate point of view. And then different pulse modulation. So as just now said, when we use uh, pulse as a carrier, then those will become pulse modulation techniques. So we'll have PAM, PWM, PPM. So in PAM, the amplitude of your pulse will be varied in accordance with your message signal. And in case of PWM, the width of the pulse will be varied in accordance with your message signal. And PPM, the portion of your pulse will be varied in accordance with your um, message signal. So in order to generate this PAM, we are going to use sampling technique. We'll sample our signals. So sample our signals, and then we are going to make use of sample and hold circuit for demodulating this PAM signal. And to generate these PWM signals, we are going to make use of comparator circuit. So by making use of these comparator circuits, we are going to generate this PWM signal. And for generating this PPM signal, we are going to generate this PPM signal from your PWM signal. So for this PPM, at the trailing edge of your PWM, will get a pulse that nothing but PPM signals. This is what in this way how you are going to generate your PWM signals and PPM signals. So here we are going to make use of comparator circuit. This comparator circuit will compare our input signal is compared with a sawtooth signal. Then we'll get a pulse PWM signal. Your PWM signal will be generated in this way. So when m of t is greater than sawtooth, then we'll get a pulse. When m of t is less than sawtooth, then we'll not have a pulse. In this way, we'll get PWM. We are going to generate your PWM signals. See the output of this, when we give the output of this PWM to your monostable multivibrator, then we can generate our PPM signal. Okay, friends, that's all about the session. So with this, I will completing the session. So in these sessions, we discussed about what are the different, uh, I discussed about the topics of analog communication systems. So what are, and the questions that may come from our analog communication systems. So we'll continue with our next session. Thank you. Thanking you all.